Hi, today I am going to share with you how I organize my magazines. I am I implement several different methods because depending on what I keep and how or where I want to keep it, there's a few different ways I do it because there's not just one way that makes it work everywhere, if that makes sense. The first way I do is I have binders, and there's two different types of binders I keep. These are pretty much for recipes and holidays, holiday recipes and holiday decorating, and that holds true not just for Christmas but also for I have a Halloween and fall binder, which I will be showing you a little bit of. And I have one that's Easter and Valentine's Day and spring, and then I have one for Thanksgiving. But this is my, hopefully you can see it, this is my fall and Halloween binder. I just clip or take clippings out of magazines and put them in here. I do have this one somewhat divided. I haven't really labeled it, but I pretty much know where to find what I'm looking for. I have recipes in the back, decorating, crafts, and I think that's the only sections I have in this one. Then I have my general recipe binder, and this one I don't have individual tabs for. If you see, I'll open it so you can see, these tabs are just recipes that I either want to try right away or that I have tried and they're family favorites. So, and I want to know where they're at. The only division in this one is that I have all savory foods in the front, and in the back I have all of my desserts. I find it better for me this way than to further divide it, like say into pies, cakes, cookies. It just, I don't know, I like it better this way. It's easier for me. You may want to further divide it, or you may want to have two binders, one for all your desserts and one for all your savory foods. That, you know, it's what works for you. But binders are a great way to organize magazine clippings. I keep them in the sheet protectors. That's very important. It saves you having to hole punch all the pages, and it keeps them clean. When I'm making a recipe, I can have this out on the counter, open it to the page, and sure as anything, I probably will splash it or whatever, and it'll wipe off easily. I keep these in my kitchen. I have a wire shelving system, heavy-duty wire shelving system in there, and I have all my cookbooks and binders on there. And then I have a spot on my counter that I keep in-season binder and a few cookbooks that I want to be using during that season. And it's a system that works really good for me. I do have an accompanying blog post that I'm going to be posting tonight that goes with this video. That's at blissfarm.net, and I'll have some pictures that I won't be showing on the video of my setup in the kitchen. Okay, now another way, well, with binders also, because I love magazines, I have to say I had to come up with ways to organize magazines because I'm a magazine addict. I really am. I have several subscriptions, and then I also get, if I'm not subscribed to it, my aunts and my mom give me magazines that they get once they're done with them. And I love looking through them, and catalogs on top of that. So I had to come up with some systems to tame the craziness before I would just be buried in magazines. So I also have binders that one is for just gardening articles and things like that. Another one is home decorating. So I put in there home repair articles and decorating and things like that, decorating projects and those type of articles. I keep those binders in my office. There's a bookcase behind me. I keep those there, and it works out very well. Now, sometimes there's a magazine that I want to keep that just, there's so much in there that I want that it would be silly for me to, I'd be ripping out almost the whole magazine. And when that happens, what I do, and I'll give maybe an example here. I haven't looked through this one. I just got this recently. It's the Better Homes and Gardens February 2014 issue. But what I do is, say I look through this and I think, gosh, I want this and I want this and I want this. You know, I like all the recipes and everything. What I'll do is, instead of just keeping the magazine like it is, I will go through it, and instead of taking out what I want, I take out what I don't want. And the biggest thing that I end up not wanting is all the ads and the table of contents. I really don't use it. So right here, as this magazine for an example, there's three pages here that I can, whoops, I didn't want to start ripping the cover. That's never happened to me before. Figures, when I'm on video, it's going to not work for me. I can take that, but that's what I do. I just take out the pages I don't want, and it works really good to really minimize the thickness of the magazine. And then I have a neat way to keep what's in there. And what I might do too is take a sticky note and put on here why I kept the magazine. And if I might put it in the inside cover instead. So that way I'll remember why I did it that way. Also, so that's another way to organize magazines if you really like to keep many of them, and you'll be surprised at how good it cuts down. You'd think, oh, that's not going to really make a difference, is it? It does. It really does. January issues are historically the thinnest issues of the year anyway. January, February, but it still will make such a difference by just getting rid of the ads. Just getting rid of the ads, you will be shocked. So that is another way that I like to do. And the biggest, or just the main thing to remember is you need to also revisit your binders and your magazines a few times a year, a couple times a year for sure. Maybe during the season that you use the, like if you choose to have holiday binders, when that next season is coming close, take that binder out, look through it, and see what, if any of that is just not useful to you anymore. You know, your interests change, your ideas change. I just went through my everyday recipe binder recently, and I thought, wow, what was I keeping that for? I'm not going to make that. So I took it out and threw it away. But lo and behold, I had new ones to put in. So it's an ongoing process. All organizing is an ongoing process. It doesn't matter what you're organizing, whether it's magazines, your kitchen, your bathroom, your garage. It does not matter. It's always an ongoing process. It's something that will never really be completely done. It's something, it's like brushing your teeth. You brush them today, you have to brush them tomorrow. You can't just stop and say, oh, I did it, it's done. So that's that. And then I also wanted to share with you that you might not, well, I guess for storing magazines and catalogs, it's good to keep them where you're going to use them. If you just have, say, a stack, I don't know, maybe in your living room, you just have a stack in there and you just toss every magazine or catalog you get there, and then you forget about them. Maybe you don't sit in there a lot, or you don't really read in there, and you have this growing stack of magazines, and then all of a sudden one day you're like, it's out of control. A good thing to do, or how I do it anyway, is I have, and I'll show you, a big basket, and it's heavy right now, a big basket, and I keep this next to my bed because that is where I read. I read in bed more often than not. And so I keep this in my bed, or next to my bed, and anytime I get a new catalog or a new magazine, it goes in here. Now this, I am behind in reading, and I also have Christmas catalogs. I love getting catalogs, and from Christmas, there's a ton of them during that season. So anyway, I keep everything I get in here until I read it, and then I decide what to do. I either usually what I'll do is I'll look through it, and then I'll look through it again. And the second time I decide, is this something that I'm going to keep 100% intact and just pull out the ads, pull out what I don't want, or is this something that I'm just going to take a couple things out and file wherever I need to file it. I make that decision then. But now naturally the clippings I put in the appropriate binders that they need to go in, but the other magazines, the magazines that I just take out what I don't want, I have different spots depending on what type of magazine that is, if that makes sense. I keep, for instance, I get a subscription to Handyman, and I keep those, the ones that I want to keep, I keep those in my office. I don't have a garage in my home, for this home, and there's no basement, so there's not like a workshop. My office is the closest there is. My toolbox is in here. So this is where I keep the Handyman magazines. If I wanted to keep, say, a Martha Stewart, I subscribed to her, and there was one, I would take out the ones I don't want, and that would go on the shelf in the kitchen with those, with my other cookbooks and magazines. Unless it was a huge segment on decorating, and then in that case it would go with my decorating binder in my office. So I think you would get, I guess, why I do that, and I hope it doesn't sound like, oh, that's too much work or too confusing. It's not. My main reason for saying that is that it keeps it keeps them where you're going to use them, so you use them. If you just have that growing pile somewhere in the corner of a room that you don't read in or whatever, you're never going to use them, and then you're just going to end up dumping them and throwing them away, and or recycling them, and that's wasteful to me. So I hope I hit on all the all the points that I wanted to. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. I will be more than happy to answer them. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks. Bye-bye.